Crilley Show. We're going to be talking about the economy and all things private equity investments with Lou Grabowsky. He's the co-founder and managing director of Juniper Capital Management. That's next on the Jeff Crilley Show.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
On this episode, we're talking about the economy. There's a lot of people who see the glass half full, half empty, and other people, like my next guest, see it as a pitcher that we all have, and we can fill up that glass anytime we want to. Lou Grabowsky is my guest. He is the co-founder and managing director of Juniper Capital Management. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be here.
Well, one of the things that we're both big fans of Dallas, and we had a conversation before we're going on the air, the TV show Dallas, big hit show during the late 70s and early 80s, and it defined kind of an era in Dallas, and both of us have this passion for the glamour and glitz and optimism of Dallas. Lou, when did you arrive in Dallas?
1984.
1980, so the height of Dallas fame.
Correct.
Yeah, and there is a lot of wisdom to the idea that Dallas is that land of opportunity. You and I both came from the upper Midwest, where sometimes the weight of the economy would wear on people. But here, it's pretty much how big can you dream?
Precisely. There were 2 things, Jeff, that we noticed when we came to Dallas in 1984. The first was the acceptance of anyone into the environment, particularly from a business community standpoint. It's a very vibrant community today, and it always has been. And the only ask, there are 2 asks. One, that you're not a carpetbagger, that you're coming for a short time with an objective and then leaving. And 2 is you do what you say you're going to do. Mm. With those 2 criteria satisfied, we were well accepted into the Dallas community, the business community, and the personal community. It's amazing, which is a misconception that most of the people outside Dallas feel. Secondly, this can-do attitude that you speak of, in the Midwest. I love the Midwest, love the people, love the seasons. There's a lot of good about it, but you hope not to lose. In Dallas, you expect to win. Very different attitudes. Yes, and it changes the trajectory of life.
That's why Cowboy fans are so disappointed right now. We expect to go to the Super Bowl every year.
I agree with that.
We'll work on the Cowboys next.
Right.
We're going to put your website up and kind of scroll down the website, because I'm really impressed with what you've done. And this is you didn't come from the world of private equity.
No, I came from professional services with Arthur Andersen and then Grant Thornton. Spent some time in the corporate world. So I saw a lot of private equity, worked with a lot of private equity, but never was in it directly. My son encouraged me post-retirement to join him and build this firm.
And does that give you something of an advantage coming a little bit from the outside?
Yes. And I would say from professional services, what I learned were many important things, but 2 in particular. One is to be able to relate and read people, and do that in a way that's accelerated, because in the professional accounting profession, if you miss things, it's generally because you missed the person, you misread the person. Bad things happen because of bad actions of certain people, and so you have to understand them, and to understand them, and for them to understand you, there has to be a mutual trust and respect and relationship, and that takes a while. That process has really helped me in at Juniper, because our model is a relationship-based model. By that I mean that we grow a relationship with our sellers, where we partner with them, invest in their business, invest in them really, don't expect to and don't want to have them leave the company, want them to roll their equity with ours and move forward. So we're not in there to throw people out. We're in there to work with them. But in order to do that, you have to understand the person, because you're making a very big bet.
Yes.
Now the second differentiation of our firm is really we're long-term thinkers. We have a fund, but we're not forced to invest that fund in a period of time. We're not forced to have exits, because in the private equity world, your economics come from the deal you make up front plus the ultimate exit. And that owner who's teamed with you now at this point in time is looking for that exit also. So there's going to be one, but we're not forced to make it in a period of time.
Brilliant. And that allows you to be really discerning when it comes to what you invest in and when.
We hope so. We try to link up with an industry segment that has a sustainability to it, that has a future to it, that has opportunities to it. And so the industry that best relates to where we are right now with our marine construction business, our water and sewer rehabilitation businesses, and 2 steel businesses, is really infrastructure. And we know the need for infrastructure in this country. And we're fortunate to be in it. We sort of lucked into it through the back door, but we're glad we are.
Outstanding. And I love the name of the company, and you told me there's an interesting backstory.
There is, Juniper. And it was developed by my son and his wife. They came up with it when they thought about the type of firm we want to be and he wanted to have on a long-term basis. And that is a firm that is tough. It can thrive in rugged conditions, against odds, against inclement weather. And the juniper tree, aside from the fact that it also is an element of gin production,
sure,
we look at it from the sustainability aspect and its ability to withstand tough situations and move forward and be successful.
One of the things you and I were talking about before we went on camera is how important likability is, because there's a lot of different companies that you can do business with, but you're an affable guy. Has that served you well over the years?
Oh yes, relationship-based businesses, first they link to my personality, but also they've linked to what I've had to deal with in my career, because at the end of the day, people do work with who they like when they have alternatives, and there are many alternatives. Plus, because I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, I've had to earn the benefit of the doubt for my next mistake that's coming up, so I could
we have
lean
that in
on
common
that.
as well,
Right.
both from the upper
Right.
Midwest. And your decision to come to Dallas, that was truly a blessing. I mean, do you think you would have been as successful in another state?
I don't think so. Not in the way. Not in the environment. Not in an environment where our family thrived. Also, with the educational systems here and the friendships that they've made. And another very important element of our success here is the fact that it's probably like this in many cities, but when you're a Dallas person, these folks stay together over a lifetime.
They do.
It isn't, high school, then college, then you're off and you're somewhere else. People have connections that go on from high school through maturity, and that is really special.
And entrepreneurs help each other here. We talked about that earlier in this conversation, but in some other parts of the country that I've lived in, there's a little bit of a jealousy, and what's mine is mine, and here it's share the gold, right? Really supporting and lifting as you climb.
That's really a great point, Jeff, and I've experienced that. You're not in competition with that person. you're really in competition with yourself, because the bar is set high here and people are trying to help you, and you don't have to worry about being undercut by the next person. You begin, what happens is you begin to set your bar higher and higher. So if you frustrate yourself, it's because of the expectations you set of yourself.
Yes.
And that pays huge dividends, because you move farther and faster, and you gain a lot of support from your friends and the community.
One of my favorite quotes is from Mark Cuban. He talks about how he challenges himself. He says, if I wanted to beat myself, how would I do it? And that's an interesting way of looking at life. But it's not him against Miami or him against LA. It's how do I beat myself?
Exactly the point. Exactly the point. When I'm in competition with whatever expectations I set of myself, which are generally high.
Outstanding. We're almost out of time. So, your thoughts on the economy and regardless of who's elected president, do you see this being a short recession and followed by a robust economy?
I see this as being a continual recovery. There could be some short-term blips in it for various reasons, but we believe, and I believe, and from the companies that we own and work with and the people that I associate with, we see this as being very sustainable, ongoing, because we have an opportunity in the world to continue to be a leader, and we have needs in this country that need fulfilled. For example, the whole infrastructure area, and our hardcore industries are a big part of that. So if we stay the agenda and don't stand in our own way, frankly, we'll be just fine.
Outstanding. You've been a great guest. We're going to put the website up to end the segment, junipercapitalmanagement.com, the acronym there on the screen. Lou, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jeff.
And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.